You're joining us today on Momentum Moments podcast with Alistair Body from Momentum Broker Solutions. Today, I'm joined with David Hockey from Admiral Pioneer. Well, Admiral is renowned for its personal lines. David is at the helm of their strategic move into the SME commercial market, notably through broker partnerships like Momentum. We'll explore the motivations behind this shift, the opportunities it presents, and what it means for brokers and clients alike. David, absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Alistair.
Excellent. So I don't know where to really start, really. So let's talk about your career today. You haven't been with Admiral for very long.
No, I've been with Admiral just over a year. So I joined April last year after a career with Aviva. I spent over 20 years at Aviva.
Wow.
And within that, worked, as you'd expect, in a 20-year time frame, lots of different business areas. But I spent the last 10 years or so in SME, leading our digital business.
So for 20 years, but it's quite institutionalised. So it must have been a massive jump for you moving away from that.
It was a really exciting move as well.
Yeah.
But very different companies, very different size. So obviously Admiral is a big company as well, another FTSE 100 company. And we're really proud to be the only FTSE 100 company in Wales.
Fantastic.
But at the same time, as you've referenced, Admiral Pioneer is it's more like a startup entity within Admiral. So it's quite a different culture and different approach to working in a big corporate.
I mean, fabulous. I mean, we work with startups all the time, and I remember back in the days when when Arista started up, it was quite an exciting time to be involved. And obviously, what Momentum's all about is helping startup brokers, get into their own businesses and ultimately build from there. I mean, I recall my days back at NIG working with the direct line for business teams, and sort of seeing some of the sort of business, I suppose, evolve from what effectively is a direct line or a direct opportunity. So I was quite looking forward to this interview, to be fair, because Admiral, as you know, is well known for personal lines, as our listeners will also know, but now you're entering the SME market through brokers. Why this route and why not? Why aren't you going direct?
So firstly, I think SME is a natural extension from personal lines. We've seen it in the market with many other players. Some of the great things about Admiral include the brand, the technical capabilities. That's part of its core success. And I think SME is, as I said, a natural kind of product line extension. Yeah, and the part of the market we're particularly focusing on is more the micro and small SME side. Yep. So we're not coming in saying we're going to be a big mid-market corporate player. We're very much focused on micro and small businesses, where again there's a stronger alignment to the personal lines core.
And if you talk to brokers these days, there's a sort of an undercurrent or undertone. I'm not sure what you call it. That there is a perception that SME or the micro SME is becoming much more commoditized. It's going to be much more online. It's going to be much more purchased directly via the internet. We've seen the likes of Hiscox, amongst others, really, really push into that space. But you sort of seeing something very differently.
Yeah. So I think, what we see is, there are certain businesses, particularly, new entrepreneurs who are just starting up as sole traders. Perhaps they have the confidence to buy online. But a lot of businesses still require advice and support. And so we believe, the broker channel remains absolutely crucial to the purchase and supporting small businesses. But at the same time, I think to your point around doing things digitally, we think there are ways to do more and more of the business trading SME through digital channels. And that's an area that really excites us. We think businesses like yourselves can really support us in doing that. And again, lots of exciting opportunities as to how can we do more of that in years to come.
I mean, if you look at the market as it sort of sits here in the first half of 2025, we're coming out of a hard market. The market has definitely softened, as most people are feeling at the moment. You're going into what is, I would see, as a very competitive space in what is effectively a softening market. Well, you might not have predicted that as bad as it is, 12 months ago, but it is relatively, what I'd say is also relatively, standard products. I mean, what do you see as the gaps that you, with the experience Admiral's got, that can address?
Yeah, so I think it starts with the fundamentals. I think, brokers demand good service for their clients.
Absolutely.
So we think, there is a great opportunity to kind of challenge and raise the bar in that space, to give you clear, consistent service, all the time, right?
Yep.
So we think that's a fundamental kind of principle. Again, it's one of the one of the basics. At the same time, claims would be another one where, again, how can we build a bit of a reputation for our management of claims? Again, Admiral does that fantastically well for its personal lines. How can we embrace great claims service so you know where you are with claims, and equally how do we settle them quickly for clients? So we think that's a theme to really respond to, which again I consider as one of the sort of fundamentals.
Yep.
And then I think the other bits are, so how can we improve the experience, right? So so I think your account execs will use lots of different broker platforms and insurers, and we believe there are opportunities to really improve that experience. But also, we're really interested in how can we harness the impact of data to aligned with that experience. So these are sort of themes we have as kind of for really raising the bar and challenging the current processes and offerings in the market.
So it's a data-led solution, which fundamentally is service-led at the same time, basically.
Yeah. So exactly.
And I suppose looking ahead, I mean, how bold is the ambition of Admiral? Is it to move into a much wider product set? Is it stay true to what you're good at, which is that micro SME?
Well, so I think I think micro and small SME has plenty of scope. So I think it is a big, sizable market. When we look at how many SMEs are out there in the UK, there's over 5 million SMEs in that space. Obviously, then you select which of the sectors you want to be specifically in, but that's a big pool to start with. So I think to your point, it is around product roadmap. So we are we started off very much focused on tradespeople and professionals, and we're looking to broaden that out. So broaden out the range of products that we're offering. So the next big product to launch is going to be mini fleet, which we believe there's lots of interest around that, and we want to make sure Momentum is one of our first partners to adopt our mini fleet offering. But then we want to extend into property lines. So I guess our storyboard is liability first, motor second, property lines third. So as you expect with a new business and startup, we are methodical in our roadmap and development, but we have a vision to bring a wide variety of products to our brokers in years to come.
As part of the research, obviously, for today, I was surprised that Admiral was a global business. It's not just UK based.
Yeah, absolutely. So the UK business is the largest, but as you say, Admiral has established businesses, been in place 15 to 20 years in Italy, France, Spain, and then the other jurisdictions which help with our overall service offering. So,
and do you trade commercial business outside of the UK, or is this?
No, so we are the first. So within Admiral Pioneer and our business, Admiral Business, we are the first venture into commercial lines.
This is the test part, for the rest of the world, maybe.
Well, that's it. There's certainly interest. I think some of those markets you mentioned, in continental Europe, they definitely recognise there is an opportunity in SME.
So tell me a little bit about the modular product concept. It's a term that I hear quite regularly, and I'll be honest, I don't quite fully understand it. And if you don't mind, how does it benefit brokers and clients, and how can you simplify that for us?
Yeah, I think for me, my simplification would be it's a bit like a pick and mix. Right? You pick the covers you need for your clients. And at the moment, the sort of legacy in the market is the market's created package products where they're pretty rigid. So it's all about how can we truly modular. Basically means you can literally do pick and mix. Every component is up for selection or deselection. So you build what you need for your client.
And I suppose if you look at it for the personal line space, this isn't anything new for personal lines, is it? The problem is typically in the personal line space, it's not advised, and the client doesn't really know what they need. Hence the beauty of working with an intermediated.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also want to make it easy with some of the tools. So obviously we rely on brokers to provide the advice and support. But again, I think there's an opportunity for tools to help navigate. So for us, it's also around the experience side, the journey, the portal journey, the purchasing journey. How can we make it easy to prompt account execs as well around have you thought about this? to ensure the right customers get the right covers ultimately.
And so when did you actually start trading? Was it 12 months ago?
So we, again, typical to startup world, there was lots of development and beta testing. So it was a beta brand, but Admiral Business was launched in Q1 last year. So as a brand with Admiral backing, we have been trading for just over a year.
And you're now obviously going through the renewal cycle, so you've been testing that process as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, as you say, started our renewal cycle, and lots of functionalities we're developing in that space as well, alongside our sort of product roadmap and functionality improvements we're making to our broker portal.
And what's the broker and customer response been today?
So we're really pleased with how it's gone so far. For our, in our direct business, we have a Trustpilot score of 4.7, which is a great barometer of customer satisfaction. So really pleased with that early view there. And I think with our broker partners, I think we're getting really good responses, good encouragement around, they're pleased to have a challenger in the market with some fresh thinking. And I think for us, what we want to do is be really close with our broker partners. We really want the feedback. We want the feedback to shape what we do next, what we do in the future. I think that's really important to us. So,
yeah, I mean, like if you think back to your times at Aviva, obviously you learned a lot, and then you must sit there and thinking, well, if I was ever going to do it again, what is it I would learn and do differently? And I'm sure you've taken some of that learnings into Admiral Pioneer, but I'm sure at the same time there's probably some learnings you're going to thinking we probably should have done that differently. Is there anything you can think of at the stage you think, maybe we approached that in a different way? It probably would have been right from day one.
So as far as broker, we're only 6 to 9 months in really in brokers. So I think the sort of things we would do better might be just the speed of we're making decisions. So as you can imagine, again, in a startup, you're doing things quickly. You're working in our tech teams, we call them sprints. So we're in these constant sprints. So there seems to be definite little learnings around, could we have done that feature before that feature? Those kind of things. But I think, we're probably many more lessons to learn. And again, that's all part of our mindset, though, is we want to learn and we want the feedback. We want the suggestions to say, can you give us this? Or have you thought about this? Or this would make a really big difference to how we place business with you. We're very receptive to that.
And none of these mistakes are fatal, are they? They're just learnings, as you say, on the road, and it will help you improve as you go.
Totally. And I think for, in our environment, we very much embrace that. And as I said, and with our technology, one of the benefits we have is a bit more agility to make changes. So I think in other companies and other environments, it can take longer to say, that's a great suggestion, Alistair, but it's going to take me 9 months to get it through my backlog. What we like is the idea of, fast insight action, small improvements more regularly.
Yeah, and ultimately doing the stuff which is going to make the tangible difference. Prioritise it accordingly. I mean, interesting enough, you've taken a pretty selective approach to how you deal with partnerships, and obviously you have brokers you deal with. I mean, what's your thinking behind that? Why have you? Because there's obviously open the agencies up and feed all the business in, and hopefully you build a critical mass pretty quickly. But you've been a bit more careful on that.
Well, totally right, and that's very deliberate. Yeah. So we've segmented the market, and we really want to target brokers who can be strategic partners. Where we believe we can have meaningful, deep relationships over many years and grow together is the essence of what we want. So we are less inclined with more transactional relationships. So that's drawn us to a more selective approach. And we've got different things in mind as well. So by doing so, we want to help give a trading edge to the brokers we do trade with. So you're not tripping over competitor brokers or going after the same clients. So as I say, it's a deliberate strategy to be one, really focused on developing true partnerships, and B, give you that trading edge.
And then certainly that's a sort of vision that's shared from John Ashton, who obviously spent some time with our broking team. But you've obviously selected Momentum to be one of those hand-selected group of brokers. Why Momentum? I mean, I think it's the right choice, clearly, but why Momentum?
Well, I think clearly you strive to be a strong independent broker, which independent brokers is absolutely core to the distribution strategy for us. I also think You have great growth opportunity, so we're really excited by the growth story you've had, the growth story. I believe the trajectory you're on as well, and I think we have the opportunity with our roadmap, with your credentials and strategy to really grow together into that strategic partnership that I've outlined.
Yeah, and look, we're delighted that you saw the vision that we've got, and I'm sure the partnership will continue to grow from strength to strength. I mean, you've chosen one of the other interesting things when we were obviously preparing for today's conversation was the whole: do you go down the actress route like everybody else is doing, or do you have your own trading portal? Why have you gone to sort of go down that route as opposed to chucking it into actress?
Yeah. So again. That's a really good provocation. So I think fundamentally we stand up and say we want to be different, right? So within Admiral, I say we're Admiral Pioneer. We want to be different. We want to challenge the status quo. So we're looking at other solutions. So I think we don't just want to trade on price, as a key point of difference. We want to trade on value. We want to trade on experience. We want to trade on the credentials of doing all the fundamentals really well. In our portal, we can design the experiences better. We can be more flexible around the questions we ask, the data that we use. So all of those things, I guess, suggest to us that was a better route to take.
I mean, you have to be it's a pretty bold step to make, unless you've got real faith in the ability to differentiate yourself, whether it's through service, quality of product, just the way that you make it easy to trade. Because a lot of obviously other insurers or MGAs have gone down that route, and you've got a very limited option after the obviously actress option, I suppose, for those brokers that trade off the actress platform. So you've got to be one step ahead of the game, don't you, all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to be bold and we've got to be brave in terms of some of the changes that we are seeking to make, as you say, because we've got to make it really strong and clear for your account execs in Momentum to want to use our platform, and that's obviously we're saying we want to bring more exciting products to the portal, like Mini Fleet, like Property in Time, but also I guess thinking a few steps ahead. How can we solve some of the technology type problems as well? How can we, so for example, one of the key benefits of Actress is obviously it plugs into back office systems. Mm-hmm. So over time, how can we try and solve that? Mm-hmm. Through API integrations and these sorts of things. So
you talk about the roadmap for Mini Fleet and obviously Property. What's the sort of timescales for those?
So Mini Fleet will be imminent, so within the next quarter.
Yep.
It will be something we will be rolling out. So we're really excited about that. Look out for that very soon.
Excellent.
And then, as I said, the next big chapter will be property covers, and we're looking at early 2026 for those.
You talk about simplifying the broker journey, when it comes to quoting, adjustments, the renewal cycle. Give us some practical ideas about what that actually looks like and how that actually is going to impact our team or our brokers day to day.
Yeah, so I think it probably starts with basic things such as can I make premium adjustments without referral? Yeah. So I know that's certain insurers that's a standard functionality, but these are sort of things which just make trading easier. Yeah. So again, basics, but everyday essentials to trading.
Yep.
I think the other things we sort of look at is how can we then, as we build out our products, how do we improve things like the cross-sell capabilities? So as in to suggest the right products for different clients.
Yep.
How do we use some of the analytics to suggest products that might be considered?
Yep.
And then perhaps the more sort of further out considerations are things such as how do we use data, how do we use third-party data sources to inform there's been changes in customers' businesses, which might require them to change their cover. How do we sort of triggers? How do we understand some of the triggers, which basically mean you as the broker might need to be reviewing the cover adequacy for clients, effectively making sure they've got the right cover that they need.
I mean, new players need to earn trust. I mean, one of the things I know Admiral's incredibly proud about is obviously your Trustpilot scores, which is a real, show that you're doing the right thing for the right people. But the other thing too is as you talk about culture. So Admiral, I think, has won some awards for one of the best places to work.
Yeah.
How important is that for you?
So it's really interesting. Yeah, great place to work survey. Where we've got awards, and it's really interesting coming, relatively new into Admiral. That really, from day one, I saw the pride and the passion of that within Admiral. It was really, really clear. I remember 1 week into Admiral, they had what they call the staff general meeting. I was like, what is that? Sounds like a golf club event or something. But they took over one of the arenas in Cardiff, and they did the same as Swansea. And the exec team come up, and we had Rob Brydon as the compare of it. And it's just so different.
Yeah.
Very informal, very uplifting, very exciting. And Admiral has a great culture, fun, open, honest, be yourself. It's a great culture, and one which we try to bring to our business. So I'd like to think, anyone in your Momentum team who trades with our team, you'll get to feel a bit of that sort of openness and personality.
How do you manage that? And the person, so from a claims point of view, I think is a really interesting. Well, it's the proof point, isn't it? Everything works when claims works. Now, dealing with claims directly with a personal lines customer through without a broker in the midst of it is a very different experience to obviously dealing with claims in an intermediated sale of an insurance policy. How do you see that you can adapt? Because ultimately, I'm imagining you're probably using similar claims teams to effectively learn and develop and understand that obviously these new products. How are you managing that process?
Yeah, so I think we're learning with low claims volume so far, which is exactly a good thing. Good risk selection. No, I think we are very keen to work really close with brokers. So I think what do you want? You want certainty of client outcome, and you want to know where you are in the claims process. These are sort of fundamentals. So again, what we're trying to create is the collaboration, so everyone is clear where we are on the journey. I've heard some horror stories in the last few years where, trading with certain companies has stopped simply because of the poor claim service that's been offered, and we want to make sure that's certainly not us.
So your claims team is all dealt with in-house?
So we have some in-house, but given early stage for us, we use some third-party experts as well. And over time, we'll look at our in-housing strategy, just as you'd expect as we grow and get to a different level of maturity.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, you spoke about two-way partnerships with brokers. What does that really mean? I mean, it's not just a transactional relationship.
Absolutely not. No. So for us, we really want to grow together. We want to really understand how we can deliver the best broker trading models in the market through your ideas, of what makes a difference. So, we don't have all the answers. We have concepts which we think make a difference, but we want to know what really can make a difference. What can make your team want to trade with us more than any other insurer on a portal? So we want the ideas, and we want to identify ways to innovate together. As I said, how can we deliver better experiences? How can we use data to transform the quoting, buying process? These are sorts of things we're very keen to explore. It
makes perfect sense. Service is a key differentiator. You've said that time and time again. It's probably overused, but maybe it's not, knowing the way that you do business. But you clearly set some fairly high standards in regards to what service means and how things are delivered. How do you manage that, as you build a team?
So I think, obviously with anything, if you have strategic kind of principles or anchor points, you as a team rally around, this is what we stand for. So there's one, I guess, going back to the culture side of it, it's having that clearly embedded within your team and culture around this is what you stand for. And then obviously there's another lens, which is making sure as we grow out products, scale, that we are ahead of the curve in terms of making sure we can continue to honour those core capabilities. And that's one of the things we'll have to keep an eye on. Part of the solution to that will be some of the focus on automation and the use of some of the other tools, which I've referenced. So I think that's one of the ways that we can do it, is to say, well, there are certain types of demand where can we automate some of that. So again, the agents and the underwriters are being deployed for better tasks, which all our businesses will be looking at those sort of opportunities in different ways, but that's part of it as well, I think.
I mean, scaling up is always a challenge. I mean, we've always found recruitment a challenge as a business, and we've sort of come up with some innovative ways to stay ahead of the curve, as they say. How are you doing that? Presumably, you've got the beauty of a whole Admiral business potentially from a succession point of view, people looking for career development and the likes. How is recruitment working for Admiral Pioneer?
Yeah, so I think there's twofold. I think, as you rightly say, we have the core Admiral group, which has loads of great and amazing people in pricing, data, claims, some of the core insurance teams. So yeah, we have we're very fortunate to be able to bring some of those people in.
Yep.
At the same time, to do some of to focus on the great journeys, the agile tech, we need to bring talent from outside as well. And there are certain talent pools which are more challenging. But again, what we need to do is ensure we are an exciting proposition for new talent. I think the phrase talent war has been used a lot over the years, hasn't it? In terms of we're all trying to jostle for certain creative types. But I think then there's also, how do you look ahead and go, right, I will need a lot more data people in time. So how can I build better pathways into some of the right people? So we're looking at wider community type concepts in that space as well. So you're not just all going after the university grads or the second job people. It's getting in a bit earlier.
And I think that's what you have to do. I mean, the whole apprenticeship program for us has been brilliant. Seeing the way that these staff have gone from apprentice right through, senior roles within the team. It's a fabulous journey, and proving that pathway exists is a massive, massive part of attracting talent, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. No. So look, the joys of trading via digital means is all about trying to make as much fit within a platform without friction, right? Yeah. Whether that be friction, cost for you, whether it be for us, for the client, whatever that might be. But there is always stuff that doesn't go straight through. How do you ensure that the portal accepts as much as it possibly can, and when it can't, that's dealt with in a really succinct and slick way?
Yeah, totally. So I think a couple of thoughts there. One is we're constantly learning. Yep. So again, the importance of your feedback to help say, well, that's not quite working that slickly, or could you improve that, right? So that's always important.
Yeah.
Where is it not working as you'd expect it?
Yeah.
I think the other bit then is our response time. So in our head office underwriting team and capability, how do we respond quickly to the referrals that the frontline underwriters can't write? So if it's that slightly more edgy case or there's a slightly non-standard, how do we respond to that? So we are really focused on quick response in that arena, and again, that's something we've got our eye on going forward as well.
How does thinking back to my own days back in the NRG days with the direct line sort of things, and there was some interesting times just before I started where NRG had a real appetite to write big exposures. Mm-hmm. And then I think once the big losses started coming, people started looking from the ivory tower and saying, why are we writing risks of 20, 30 million pound exposures? Yeah. Obviously, in the Emerald world, there must be an element of that in regards to getting comfort around, building a product, building a service, building a proposition that creates fundamentally a profit. Let's not get away from that. But how do you make sure that you get that balance between a very safe underwriting appetite and a really wide underwriting appetite that fundamentally delivers a good return for all parties?
So I think there's a couple of thoughts. So one is when we develop new products, we follow something called a service design framework. So it's very much around customer need, customer requirements, and takes a more holistic view of the customer. So for example, a professional, not just what's the insurance product professional is, but what is the world of a professional? Right? So we start off with offering products and covers that genuinely are needed, and it links to the modularity
Yep.
point we talked about before. But the second bit then is we are ruthless around what we want to cover. Yep. So I guess immediately we're sort of taking away some of the potential volatility where we don't believe we can deliver the returns, or believe it'd be harder to deliver the target returns.
Yep.
I think inevitably you're not going to get it all right. So that comes then to the third point, which would be how are we dynamic around our learning and the experience of the risks we're writing, the losses we are having, and how do we react quickly and effectively through underwriting and pricing. And the great thing is the data structure we have created gives us that very fast loop learning, which allows us to see how things are going and change course as required.
I mean, you personally, you've had a fascinating journey in regards to your career. Viva, Singapore.
Yeah,
to
that's
the mix.
right. Yeah.
Where else have I missed? And then
No,
and then Wales, Cardiff.
Yeah. I started. So it's a bit of a full circle for me. So I was born in Wales, and then 20 years in Aviva, which included 4 years in Scotland, London, then 2 years in Singapore, and actually helped create a startup in Singapore for Aviva back then on personal lines, and then then back working here in Cardiff, which is.
And this is your home, Cardiff, is it?
So still, home is still London. So I haven't moved the family yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Commute up here for a few days a week?
Exactly. So travel around, but it's easy enough a journey. Actually.
Just not on a Wales match day. You wouldn't want to be doing that train, do you?
Along with 10,000 others now.
And the rest, fabulous. Eddie, how was your international experience thinking about the Singapore? You're going to start up there. It must feel like it's just doing the same thing time and time again, but just continually taking the lessons and the learnings from the previous one and saying, let's not repeat those.
I think with insurance, you learn a lot. First of all, you learn a lot from others. I think that's as a profession, out of all the professions, we're constantly learning, and we learn a lot from others. I think as well, learn a lot from the different experiences, more head office sort of environments to then the startup to the frontline trading. But this is a different business with different opportunities. So lots of kind of fundamental lessons, but again, you're constantly learning.
Yeah, I mean, it must be one of those roles and one of those, I suppose, jobs, if that's the right terminology, where it probably doesn't feel like a job, but you also feel like it's never done.
100%. I think, exactly. I think in more of a, particularly, with a newer business, you live and you breathe it, constantly, and which is really exciting. It can be tiring as well, but it's really exciting. Where there's so much to do, and it's so exciting. There's so many more features we want to develop, more products we want to launch, new capabilities we want to create. It's very exciting.
Are you that guy that comes into the office on a Monday morning and says, "I've had a thought"? Is that you? And then everyone has to say, slow down.
Well, I've lots of thoughts. I try and pick my moments when to plant the sort of thoughts. Try not to derail the progress of everything. But you're constantly take little notes of ideas as you go through the day.
Yeah. Well, I used to work with a guy back in Morris days who was Welsh but remained nameless, and you can see him already thinking the next thing whilst he was in the midst of that conversation. He was always one step ahead. But I'm sure in your world, it is very much like that. It's always thinking, always trying to experiment and try new things.
Yeah, and I think, experimentation would be a key point there. So again, we realise we're new, we're learning, we want to experiment, we consciously want to experiment. So again, it's that feedback, insight, challenge, the status quo. That's what we want. That's what we're here for, is to not follow the pack in everything we're doing, but to challenge.
Yeah. Look, here we are in person. This is the first time we've done one of these podcasts face to face, which is, part of the tech issues aside, has been really, really good. But here we are, Capitol Tower in Cardiff. I think Millennium Stadium somewhere.
Just over that way. Yeah,
just across the road, isn't it? But I understand when launching Admiral Pioneer here, there was an interesting moment for you personally.
The irony is, my dad used to work in this very tower. So the one office he's ever worked in Cardiff, and it was this particular tower. So I remember as a young teenager coming into this very building. So very ironic.
Isn't it funny how everything comes back and
Absolutely.
repeats? Not the 11th floor, was it? No.
No, it wasn't the same floor, but I can visualize going into this building. As a teenager, it's as I said, full circle.
Fabulous. And on a lighter note, rugby and family life, how do those passions influence how you lead and do what you do day to day?
Yeah, so definitely a big family man. It's all about the family for me. So as being Welsh, the ball, and I'm saying for you, Alistair, as a Kiwi, I'm sure it's an egg-shaped ball first.
Yeah,
I do love my football as well, although a suffering Man United fan at the moment. Big on family, big on rugby and other sports, other sort of interests are travel and hiking getting outdoors when we can.
fabulous. Well, it's nice to be in Cardiff. I don't think I've ever been here other than for an All Black game. I think it might be an England game or two I've been here. But it's fabulous to actually be here for anything other than rugby. So it's been brilliant. I mean, look, to wrap up, in one or two sentences, what's the message you'd like brokers to take away about Admiral Pioneer and what it lies ahead for you? Because it sounds like exciting.
Yeah, so firstly, thank you to Momentum. Thank you for the business you've placed with so far. Thank you for being a partner of ours. We're really, really pleased. I think we also are, really excited around the partnerships we can create. And I think it's, my ask to your team is, really embrace us, embrace our portal. Many exciting products coming. So mini fleet very soon, property in time. But we hope you will recognise us as the best insurer partner for you in the digital SME space.
I mean, just adding to that, what does success look like for you in regards to the partnership with Momentum?
Well, I think there's a great opportunity for you to be our number one trading partner. In terms of growth size, given your network, I think there's a genuine opportunity over the next few years, for you to be our largest partner. Again, that's linked to our distribution strategy. The brokers we've deliberately chosen not to trade with, and where we're carving out our focus. So we really believe this can be, a very meaningful partnership for both our businesses for years to come.
And fingers crossed, that's exactly what it is. I'll take that message back to the team. Don't worry about that, David. Well, look, thank you, David. It's been an absolute pleasure for you joining us today and sharing your journey. The strategy and the vision for Admiral Pioneer, I think, is an exciting one, and certainly one which we're massively proud to be part of and look forward to supporting that. It really, really is inspiring to see how the personal lines players are entering into the SME space and then adopting what is effectively a fresh mindset, doing things differently, understanding the real importance of the cultural within the business, the service and the quality of product, and obviously, clearly, the digital journey. So, and Momentum, as I say, we're delighted to be partnering with Admiral and really look forward to seeing how this relationship grows from strength to strength. I'll be back with another episode in a couple of weeks, so make sure you click subscribe wherever you find your podcasts to be the first to listen. Thanks for joining us.